It seems like everybody in America can grow tomatoes. It's a little late for me to be putting plants in, but I want to show you all the different ways that one can grow tomatoes. I have several favorite ways, and I'd like to show you 3 or 4 different ways in which to grow plants that will produce lovely, luscious, delicious, juicy, all-American tomatoes. First one is on bamboo poles. We cut these bamboo poles at Helen Brandt's house just a few weeks ago and dried them, but it's really strong, lovely bamboo and kind of fun to use in the garden. It looks kind of natural and good. So I put 3 stakes along here, digging the holes with the crowbar and inserting them securely and tamping the poles in. There will be a tomato plant at each one of these stakes and one in between. I like to place the tomato plants at least 24 inches apart and preferably more like 30 inches apart. Dig the holes generously for each tomato plant. You can see there's no water accumulating down in the bottom of the hole. It's a very well-drained garden soil. And now these are tomatoes that I grew from seed right outside in the vegetable garden. Now just make sure you keep soil around the roots and put it in the bottom of the hole. If your holes are very, very well dug and deep, don't worry if they look like they're too deep. Tomatoes will send out roots from all the way up the stem. Wherever they're in dirt, they will grow roots. They're very good that way. And you want to bury them deeply. You want them deep because then the tomato will grow strong. Send out more lateral roots off the main stem. And always take a cultivator and make a well around the tomato, a water moat. I do this with many, many plants, with my perennial flowers that I take out of pots. This is the watering moat. And this way the roots will get a tremendous, nice watering without washing all the soil away. So that's the way I plant a tomato in a situation like this. And I'll plant them alongside each post. Look at this tomato. This is great. It already has blossoms on it. I really think that that's great. I love it when they're all ready to produce as soon as you put them in the ground. Tomatoes in Connecticut should be planted about February, March inside. And here's a good example of what we have to do. This was just dug up, remember, and it's a little bit wilted from transferring it from one place to another. But this arm, you can see, is growing right in the crook of a main leaf and the main stem. That's called a sucker. And we want to take that sucker out of this plant. You can do this with your fingernails if you have nice long ones. I don't, so I use a scissor, and this is my little gardening scissor that I've devoted to the tomato patch. Just cut that out right there in the V. Looks like a lot of plant to be cutting away, but in reality, that is only a leaf. It will not bear fruit, and it really takes away the strength from all these flowers up here that will be tomatoes. And here's another one starting right down here in this V. Cut that one out. Now you're ready to put this tomato in the ground. It's funny about tomatoes. They have a very long history. They were grown by the Indians in America way before the Europeans ever heard about them. And for many, many years after they were taken back to Europe by the initial explorers, tomatoes were always eaten cooked. They didn't eat them raw until just a couple hundred years ago. I think they were afraid of them. But they did find out that the leaves and the stems are toxic, whereas the fruits are absolutely delicious. So there's another nice sturdy tomato plant ready to grow and bear fruit. As these grow, I will put more string between the poles. Not difficult to do, just tie your string securely on one pole, take it all the way across, and then you will tie the plants right to the strings. This can be wrapped around a couple times to keep it secure. Make sure it's nice and firm. This is a very inexpensive way of staking tomatoes. And as they grow, remember, take little pieces of string or twist them, but just attach them like this, just so that they have support. I'll leave those ends long. I can tie another branch when they start to grow. But that's the way. You can do it with 3 poles and some string. It's very easy. Next method, tripod or pyramid style. We have some very, very overgrown tomato plants that were left behind the garden shed, unbeknownst to me, and they have tomatoes all over them. And they're sitting right back here. I'll show you what they look like. We have a Jet Star, which is this, which is a large, a medium-large tomato plant. This one in a peat pot. You can see the roots coming through. They really have been sort of neglected, but these will take off and grow beautifully and produce probably for the rest of the summer. So I'll put a Jet Star right here at this post. This is a small fry. You can see the tomatoes, they're just about ready to ripen. It's a cherry tomato variety. And we'll put this here, the small fry, on that tripod. Let's see what else I have over here. Now, here's another one with a large tomato. Two more. I don't even know what they are. I'll know probably better once they start ripening and I can tell what they are. But these can go at each of these posts. If you have a small garden and 4 productive tomato plants are enough for you and your family, this is a great way and a very nice, neat way to plant. These are just 4 cedar posts placed on the ground and tied with a string at the top, kind of like a teepee. Teepee, a pyramid, whatever you want to call this. If you don't have cedar posts like these, you can use bamboo posts like this. This is a very inexpensive teepee shape for growing 3 different kinds or 3 of the similar kinds of tomatoes. Tomatoes now come in both indeterminate and determinate varieties. The determinate varieties have an expected lifespan. They usually bear a little bit smaller fruit and for a specific season. The plants will produce and produce, usually like the cherry tomatoes, those smaller variety of tomatoes, and then the plant will die back. Indeterminate varieties, and that accounts for almost 3/4 of all the tomatoes that you can get by seed in the catalogs, produces larger fruits, and they will grow and grow and grow and grow until the first frost comes to kill them. So you have to decide which ones you want to plant, the little very highly productive plants for a short period of time, or the longer producing larger sized plants. This is my favorite kind of trellis, and I try to do my maintenance like once every 5 days or so, coming through, cutting out the suckers, staking and tying, and basically maintaining until these little green fruits that you see right over there mature into wonderful ripe tomatoes. Tomatoes are a crop that almost anybody can grow and everyone can enjoy. It's really fun to come out here with a bowl of coarse salt and just dip in that ripe, ripe tomato.